Hello, welcome back to this channel. Today's going to be a very fun video piece. Today's going to be another informational and garden tour. Now we're going to be going outside in the very end of today's video. A lot of stuff has happened today, a lot of progress, a lot of sad news with the ecosystem that I'll be covering later in today's video. So before we do go and start today's video, please subscribe, hit the notification on all so you don't miss a video, and please like this video. Let's go and start talking about the aquaponics really quick. This system has done quite well fish-wise. I do feel like a lot of the plants have done okay. Now a lot of the plants are mostly dying out just because I made a huge mistake a few months ago. I ended up adding way too much oxygen into the water, adding just way too much air, and basically when the oxygen level gets way too high, it almost blinds the root structure in a way to the point where it can't find that nutrients it needs to thrive. So now I have a lot of the plants in here not knowing where the nutrients is, can't find their nutrient source, so they're all just kind of sitting there just dying in a way. Now, some of the plants have recovered, like the parsley, a little bit of some of the other stuff, but for the most part, everything took a very hard hit. But mainly for now, everything's dying out. So, I'll be talking about some things I'm going to be doing later on in today's video. But fish-wise, they're doing very, very good. And they actually got feeded today. So I'm very, very, very excited for those fish. And yeah. Now let's go ahead and talk about the ecosystem and the really sad news. Now, when I walked in the room this morning to film my first video, if you guys want to check that video out, I ended up realizing that there was only 2 guppies in there. I looked all around and realized that the orange guppy that was pregnant was actually kind of stuck. Well, the tail was stuck to kind of where the water goes into the filter. So I ended up turning off the filter, the fish kind of swam out, but it looked really hurt. And then I let it kind of swim around a little bit longer, and then I plugged in the filter, and then within like 3 minutes, the fish was so weak it got sucked up by, well, not completely in it, but kind of the side of the fish got stuck against the filter again. I turned off the filter for a little bit, and then just I think at that point the fish just wasn't recovering as well as I thought. So I turned up the pump, let that sit for about an hour, and then when I let it sit for about 10 minutes, turned the filter back on. The fish never got stuck back to it again. But when I came back in the room about an hour later, the fish was just not alive anymore. It wasn't breathing, it wasn't swimming. Just really, really sad. And it's really, really sad because we could have had so many beautiful, beautiful guppies from that fish. But at the end of the day, I'm very, very happy there's still one more female that is indeed pregnant. So we'll just see how that does. But for the most part, when having an ecosystem like this, there will always be tragic losses in the ecosystem. But at the end of the day, the good thing about an ecosystem is there's always something new to look forward to. And I do think it could be a very, very bright and nice future for these beautiful fish. So now let's go around and go check out all these beautiful plants in this system. First thing is the lettuce is starting to do very, very well. I'm growing tango lettuce, and that's not doing as good as I was hoping. Grand leaf, ruby red, and buttercrunch. Down here I'm also growing black Simpson. I've never grown that before. I'm also growing romaine, gourmet mix, and oak leaf. We'll see how those do, so I'm very, very, very excited about that. Over here I'm also growing oregano. I'm just gonna have to pick up oregano from the store because just basically all the plants have died out. They just really did not like what they're growing in for some reason. Don't know why, but there's that. I'm also growing basil. The basil will hopefully do pretty good. I'm just going to kind of wait and let those grow a lot more for about 2 more weeks, and then those will go outside. Down here I'm growing a lot of bare root strawberries that ended up dying out. I'm also growing bigger tomatoes, and those might be ready to go outside very, very soon. I have 2 trays. One's at the very, very end of the shelf right there, and the other one's right here. Those are the kind of classic bigger tomatoes. When you guys think of like a tomato on like a cheeseburger or like on a salad, that's what it is. I'm also growing 4 trays of cherry tomatoes, so that'll be very awesome to really work with those later on. The strawberries right there just have not had a great season. I ended up growing those from seeds, and they germinated a little bit. A few of them germinated, but for the most part, all of them kind of died out. Then I'm growing a lot of peppers right here. I'm growing yellow, green, and red, so that is awesome. Right here, I'm growing parsley. These are strawberries that ended up germinating quite some time ago, about a few months ago, and they're starting to make a lot of progress. The lavender, it's growing a little bit, but we'll just see how that does. And then over here, lots and lots of progress right here. I'm growing cilantro, and that might be ready to go outside very, very soon. I'm also growing 6 different types of flowers: cosmos, aster, impatiens, 4 o'clock, kypress, and snapdragon. That's the bigger tomatoes I was telling you guys about a second ago. I'm also growing bunching onions, and those are doing phenomenal. And then I'm also growing, strawberries in here. Well, strawberry plants, I guess. But we'll see how those do. At the end of the day, I can't really guarantee how they will do, if they're gonna thrive, if they're gonna kind of die out later on. We'll just let time prove itself. But yeah, we'll just see how these do. Very, very excited to work with this, because when I do start my dream business, which is going to be Go Forth Produce, I really want this to be one of the main methods, and I really want to grow hundreds of strawberry plants with this new setup. I'm also growing a lemongrass, bunching onions, spinach, basil. Those have been in here for a few more days than the other ones. And I'm also growing broccoli. The broccoli looks like it needs to be watered really bad also. Then turning around, I'm growing sugar peas. Those might be ready to be taken out very, very soon, so we'll see how those do. I'm also growing rosemary. We'll just see if the rosemary ends up thriving or if it doesn't. So yeah, then I'm also growing plants for the aquaponics. I kind of told you guys about that a second ago, but that'll be very awesome to really work with that later on. I'm growing buttercrunch, tango, grand, ruby red, and oak leaf. And then there's another 5 different types of plants in the germination room still, kind of waiting for those seeds to germinate a little bit better and more successfully. Then I have hydroponic tomatoes and hydroponic strawberries that ended up never growing. So the hydroponic tomatoes are growing 1 tomato, so that is very, very exciting right there. Then for the end of this part of the tour, I'm growing dill, which is right here, these plants. And then I'm also growing mustard, and the mustard is kind of just taking over everything here. So for the most part, I'm very, 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 very excited for all of this and really to see all the progress. And for the most part, let's go ahead and go outside so I can go ahead and show you guys everything we're doing outside. All right, well, it's actually sprinkling quite a little bit, but it's supposed to rain pretty hard in a second. So I'm gonna have to do this as fast as I can so I don't get soaked while I'm out here. So actually looks like it's starting to rain a little bit. Possibly. Here, let's just do this really quickly. So I'm growing rosemary right here. I'm also growing celery. And I'm growing blueberries. Looks like it's starting to rain. You can kind of hear it hitting the tarp. Almost. But I'm amazed with the strawberries. The strawberries have just blown me away. I'm so, so excited to really work with those later on. The blueberries I'm a little bit nervous about, because the next 3 days it's going to be a little bit chilly at night. So we'll see if they survive. If they don't, then I'll probably just go back to the store and get a few more later in a few weeks. But I think for now, very, very excited to work with those a lot more. It is starting to come down a lot more, so I'm going to have to speed up even faster. But over there in that pot right there, that one, I'm growing 3 different types of flowers: cosmos, daisies, and I don't even know, zinnias, I want to say. Well, I just have no clue what that other one was. But on the other side, we're also growing a ton of marigolds and a ton of zinnias. But for now, it is starting to come down a little bit more. You know what? With the wheelbarrow being outside and collecting a lot of water, let's just go ahead and look how much water we've gotten since I brought this out about 2 weeks ago. That is so much water. And just saying, I've not used that at all for water, and that is completely from just rain. So we'll see how that does. But once it is done with the kind of rainy season for the next 2 days, I'm gonna be planting very, very quickly. Looks like in about 5 days it should start getting very, very nice, and spring will officially be here. So I'm gonna start planting very, very quickly once that area does start to get here. And yeah, once it does start to get warmer, we'll make a lot of progress out here with just a lot of plants coming outside every single day. So now it's starting to rain, so let's go ahead and go back indoors, and that'll be the end of the video. You know what? I'm just gonna do the outro out here very, very quickly. So if you guys do like these types of videos, please subscribe, hit the notification on all so you not miss every video, and please like this video. If you guys want to support the channel and watch these constant videos, we post a new one of these videos every single day, so please do check those out if you guys want to. And really thank you all so incredibly much for watching today's video. If you guys made it all the way through, please comment the word indoor garden, and I'll know you guys made it to the very end of today's video. So thank you all so much for watching today's video, and I'll see you guys tomorrow when we post next. Peace.